I heard about the ENT class through some of my friends. Went to a ride along, took the class, and then I was kind of like, well, here I am.
Getting to meet people that you've helped previously and seeing them on the street, or they've come by the station to say hello and thank you. It's just a rewarding experience. I would do it all over.
Searching for an unforgettable summer for your child? At Old Nell's Farm, campers spend days riding horses, learning horsemanship, caring for animals, making new friends, and enjoying real farm adventures. From beginners to horse lovers, our small camps offer a fun, safe, hands-on experience they'll talk about all year. Old Nell's Farm, DeVille, Louisiana. Call 318-794-9533 to register. Spots are limited.
Hi, this is Pastor Roger L. Green Sr., pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. We're welcoming you to our worship services on Sunday morning. Sunday school begin at 8 a.m. Worship services begin at 9 a.m. Come and grow with us, a place of faith, family, and fellowship. We would love to have you. Come see us Sunday morning. We'll see you there.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an afternoon edition of UrbanCast Let's Talk. I'm your host, Jack, and today's community conversation is powered by Silver sponsor Acadian Ambulance. Another school year is getting ready to begin. Parents, teachers, students, and taxpayers have important questions about the future of education here in Rapides Parish. Today, we're going to discuss everything from back to school preparation to the opportunities and challenges that could shape our school system for years to come. We're pleased to welcome back to the show Rapides Parish School Superintendent Jeff Powell. Jeff, how are you today, man?
I'm good, Jack. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to come on and talk. Good to hear from you.
Good hearing from you as well. School is getting ready to start soon. What's your message to the students, parents, and teachers and staff?
Hey, get ready. It's coming. You know, ready or not, it is coming. I can tell you, man, a lot of our teachers and administrators, Jack, have been working tirelessly throughout the summer. You know, obviously we have a lot of construction projects going on, so people are having to work around those things. Mm-hmm. Summer school was a hit. You know, had a great time with that in June. But yeah, it's coming. Next Monday, actually, August 3rd, is when all of our 9-month teachers come back. We kick the year off with a big time back to school event. The Pentecostals of Alexandria, their church building hosts us for that because it's mm-hmm. Obviously big enough for we'll have about 2,400 of our 3,200 employees at that event, and it's always a good time. It's a great time to reflect on the past year and successes, but also to project where we're headed this upcoming school year. So we're ready. August 7th for the students is when we start our little staggered start, but it's coming.
You guys have one big issue that's happening over at Ash. You want to go ahead and let us know a little bit about what's going to happen there for the start of school year?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've tried to be very forthcoming with the information there. And I told somebody the other day, Jack, when you have, $175, $180 million worth of construction projects going on, it's you hate that certain things happen sometimes, but it's also, unexpected things that just wind up happening. And there was basically some boards that were cut through that allegedly contain asbestos. Mm-hmm. And so, our teams have been on it from the time we were informed about it. And so we've got great teams over there working to try to get that building ready to receive our employees as well as our students. So as we announced last week, Alexandria Senior High will start virtual as far as their instruction goes. But our teams are all on board with we're going to get this thing open as quickly as we possibly can, safely, and that's the most. And I do want to say, I want to thank the community who have reached out and thanked us for making sure that we take the safety and security of our employees and our students, put that first. And so I can assure you that we will not open that campus until we have green lights from all of the people that are the experts in that field. But our teachers are getting ready already. We've set up a separate location for them to work out of over at the old Phoenix building, and so getting that building ready and working with school food service. We're actually going to work to serve meals out of there for any students who still need food. All of the things that come with it. I told them, look, y'all, we managed COVID a few years ago, where this is just kind of a little piece of what we had to do with COVID. So we're going to make it work as best as we can, and we just appreciate everybody's patience and understanding in situations like this.
Well, Jeff, actually, you have to thank God that we have the mechanisms and the measures in place to actually even detect these kind of things. And then, because, anytime you're dealing with construction, things gonna happen, and that kind of thing. So thanks, for having the trigger points to say, okay, Houston, we got a problem. What's the biggest challenge facing families we'll notice coming into this school year?
I think we kind of stick to the same narrative, Jack, that we've had for the last 4 or 5 years for sure coming out of COVID is, we try to remind everybody that we exist to educate children. That's what public education is here for, to educate children. And the only measure of success there is whether or not students are growing academically. Now, obviously, people expect us to do that safely, right? We want to keep everybody safe. And you want to have a good time doing it, right? Whether it's the learning or the teaching and the working that's taking place. But at the end of the day, we exist to educate children. And so we've seen tremendous gains in literacy. We're beginning to see some gains in math at the rate that we want. We're not quite there where we want to be with math. But I think the biggest challenges that we need parents in our community to continue to focus on is the work that's happening through our education system is a collective effort. I never wanted to get old when we talk about being better together. I mean, we're seeing more and more community resources being tapped into and utilized for these purposes that are going to help all of our students be better prepared for whatever outcomes they want. Whether they want to go to university and get a degree, whether they want to get credentialed and go straight to work, whether they want to go join the military. So I think it's the knowledge of, hey, take advantage of all of the opportunities that are available through the public education system.
Cool. Yeah. And in this in the new school year 26, 27, what are the top 3 priorities that we're going to see the school system focusing in on?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see us. Our goals have not changed, Jack. So you're going to see us focus largely in our lower elementary, the K-3 spaces, all going to be about literacy and numeracy. The state is using a new numeracy screener or assessment to gauge student acquisition of knowledge in the mathematics realm, the same way that we have been doing for a number of years now with literacy. It's part of the state's back to basics approach that you hear Dr. Brumley from the state level talk about, and it's been the foundation of the gains we've had. So in those grade levels, you're going to see just a hypersensitive focus on that. For that 4th to 8th and really 4th to 9th grade level, it's really, I mean, once students know how to read and they know basic mathematical, have their basic math foundations, it's about excelling to your highest potential possible. Now, we know that there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously what's going on in the classroom and the implementation of the curriculum and resources that we have, but we also want our parents to be engaged and involved in the work that's taking place in our classroom. So you're going to see a more intentional effort for community and parent engagement through, obviously we have Together Tuesdays and things like that, but it's really, you're seeing more and more business leaders getting involved, companies getting involved with making sure that our students see the connection between the work that they're doing in the classroom and whatever it is they may want to do when they get out of school and they want to go to get the kind of job that they want to support the kind of lifestyle they want. So we really focus on helping make sure that our students in the 4th through 8th grade really start tapping into the things that they have interest in and that they're passionate about. And a lot of that comes through co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So we're continuing to see some growth and blossoming in some of those, whether it's the arts and theater, performing arts, or whether it's athletics and sports and robotics, all of these things. So we know that in a lot of ways, that's where children begin to develop the passion to learn the math and to learn the science and to want to write and read better is through doing some of those things. And at the high school level is where you're starting to see the biggest shift in the work that we do. I hate to say that anything is because of accountability. I am happy that the state has created an accountability formula now that really seems to support the work that you want your students doing through high school and to better prepare them for the work that they want to do afterwards. So, basically the 9th and 10th grade year is still largely focused on the academic measures, reading, writing, math, science, social studies. But then beyond that, man, it really is about making sure that they're taking advantage of the multiplicity of opportunities that we have, whether it's to take dual enrollment and start that degree that you want to finish after you get out of high school.
Mm-hmm. So where does the district stand academically today, and where do we want to see by the end of this new school year? Where do you want to see us at?
Yeah, so overall, we just saw another 2% increase in proficiency rates over this past school year. The raw data came out just a few weeks ago, and so we're going to keep our eyes set on increasing the overall proficiency rates, not just overall, but in individual grade level and content areas. So every gain. So since 2021, Jack, we've gone from 31% proficient to 40% proficient. And while to quote Superintendent Brumley, we're pleased, but we're not satisfied. Obviously, we want more students meeting those proficiency standards. But to have almost a 30% increase over the last 5 years is obviously the result of a lot of work by our students and our teachers and our community supporting that. So, our goal is to continue that trajectory, and we're honing our proficiency exams, our grading practices, our student learning targets, all of these things to make sure that we're able to continue to have that level of success and even more.
And so, Jeff, what are we doing with the schools that are still falling behind? I know the district as a whole is moving forward, but what kind of extra attention is being placed on those schools that are falling behind?
Yeah, so thankfully, we're going to be down to our lowest number of struggling schools, I think, in the history of our school system. We have more and more students that are performing at higher levels across the board at all of our schools, particularly those that some would consider persistently struggling. Mm-hmm. When the new accountability scores come out, I'd hate to even say anything because I'm not certain, because we haven't seen what the SBS data is going to look like, but I think the community is going to be very, very pleased and impressed with it. But I'll tell you, if you haven't dug into some of the data from what we call our transformation zone that's led here at the district level by Dr. LaQuanta Jones, who is a deputy assistant superintendent for us, we're seeing consistent gains from one year to the next at most of the schools that in the past have been considered these persistently struggling schools. And look, here's the deal. I wish education was a science. It is an art, but you're a former educator. You worked in this scene a little bit. So understanding that you can put all the pieces together and everybody's working and all the pistons are hitting just right, but sometimes the results don't come out the way you want to. But the biggest challenge I think we have as educators is, man, if we're doing all these things right, we need to see the data show it. And one of the areas, talking about one of the biggest areas of focusing this year is going to be on our truancy and chronic absenteeism. I was just reading one of the national reports that in a lot of ways talks about a bunch of the positive things going on in Rapides Parish and throughout the state of Louisiana. But one of the areas that we have a tremendous opportunity to improve in is in our students coming to school every day. And so you're going to hear a lot talked about that. We've added some resources to help with that, particularly with the schools that struggle the most with their students coming to school every day. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be, obviously, if students aren't coming to school, they can't learn. If they're not learning, they can't do well on the assessments. If they, all of these things are tied together. So.
And fund, I know you said just a few minutes ago, Jeff, the teachers and support staff and all of them are coming together too. But what do you, when you sit back and you start looking at this data and different things of that nature, what's driving this change in Rapides Parish? We had been stagnant for a long time, and in some cases going backward. Fundamentally, what do you think is driving some of the change?
If I'm completely honest, Jack, about it, I think it's a belief system. Our community has started believing that the students of Rapides Parish can and will achieve as well or better than students all across the state and all across this country. Now, the Bible teaches us the faith without works is dead. So we can believe it all we want, but unless we're putting some things into action. And so what you've seen happen over the last few years is an investment in what it is that we believe, and then express an intention or attention towards making sure that who we say we are, what we say we believe, and the things that we do all align. And so I think that's the biggest thing. Everything from purchasing the right curriculum to ensuring the curriculum is being used, to setting up systems that make sure that we're monitoring and watching what's going on throughout the course of a school year in terms of student achievement data, providing supports and resources when students aren't achieving where they need to be, and it's real-time intervention. It's not waiting till the end of the year and doing summer school. So I mean, that's the kinds of things that are happening that are leading to these unprecedented results.
Teacher recruitment remains a challenge, across the state.
Yeah,
with the exception of Richland Parish. But that's the one exception right now. How is Rapides Parish positioned to enter in this school year?
Yeah, so recruitment and retention of employees, I'll say it's teachers, but it's employees. We employ over 3,000 people, from teachers and paraprofessional school food service workers, bus operators, all kinds of trades and skill craft and specialty positions, and it is a key component to having any level of success. Those that have been paying attention to what's going on with the school system and really around the state, you've seen a dramatic decline in student enrollment in public schools throughout the state of Louisiana, really in all schools throughout the state of Louisiana. And so, one of the things that caused us to do this past year is we had to eliminate a good many positions, just because, we did it through attrition. People didn't lose their job as a result of the attrition, but what it causes us to do is make sure that, we're putting the emphasis where it matters the most with the teaching and learning that's going on in the classroom. And so when we lost several hundred employees, several hundred students this last year, not several hundred employees, it caused us to have to relook at how we were staffing and doing the things to make sure that our students have the opportunity to have highly effective teachers in the classroom. But obviously, there's competition around. We're not the only public school system. We're not the only game in town. So, we have to do everything to try to build the type of culture that's focused on the things that matter the most, as well as taking care of our employees as much as we can.
School safety is very important, and it's on a lot of parents' minds these days, Jeff. What should parents know before the first day of school this year on some of the things that Rapides Parish school systems have put in place to even improve security even more?
Well, first and foremost, it's always about knowing what's in that student handbook. I mean, the number one person responsible for safety and security at our schools is every person who walks into a school building, right? Whether we're talking about employees, whether we're talking about students, whether we're talking about parents, we're all responsible for safety and security. It's not one person's responsibility. It's not one entity's responsibility. So, parents, we have to make sure that our students aren't bringing anything that shouldn't be on a school campus. Children, we have to make sure that we're not trying to bring anything on a school campus. As it pertains to the very specific measures that are being taken, if you've watched and get to see some of the plans from all of the bond projects that are taking place, a lot of the improvements that are being made on our school campuses tied directly to safety and security. You're now going to see secure entry points at almost every school building, so that people have to kind of check in basically an isolated area before they're provided access to any other part of the school that may have access to employees and or any students. So that's one of the big things. You've seen us do things over the last few years with the windows that are in front of our schools to make sure that they're better protected, so that they're shatter resistant or at least coated in order to do that. Obviously, you think about all the hard work of our sheriff's deputies, you think about the SRO program, you think about the sheriff and all of the support they give us. Also, I know it made a few headlines a couple months ago with the partnership with the I can't think of the name of the company, but the outfit out of Texas that's doing the robot dogs, and I believe our sheriff's office is in the process of acquiring some of those, and so it's going to have a whole nother level of things there. But also, when we start talking about, it's fixing to be football season, Jack, and so we want everybody to follow the protocols. Our schools and the LHSAA put out lots of information regarding keeping our athletic events, extracurricular activities safe for our communities. I mean, we want our school athletic events and things to continue to be something that brings communities together in a positive way. And so, the student handbook provides tons of information. our schools send out lots of information regarding safe operations. What's the car rider line look like? What's how to check a student out? Where to go? Because you don't want to get in trouble. You show up at the wrong door. Like people are like, hey, what are you doing? So it's things like that, as well as, we have, y'all seen them. I mean, I know you've visited the campuses, the weapons detection systems and metal detectors and, all of these different things. There's a fine line because we want our schools to be safe, comfortable, wonderful places for our community to come, especially our students and our employees. And you don't want it to look like a jail or a prison, right? So how you do these things, and we're putting safety fencing in areas so that people can't just walk onto campuses. But even that, you're trying to do it to where it doesn't look like it's a, 12-foot high chain link fence with concertina wire or whatever they call it, barbed wire, razor wire around the top of it. And so thankfully we haven't done anything.
In thinking about it, what is the district? How is the district using AI? Some of the advanced manufacturing challenges. How is the district preparing today's students for tomorrow's jobs?
Yeah, so
because I see, particularly in the trades area. I know, we've always had tons of, high school to college, but it seems to be a big emphasis on the trades at this point. So what are some of the things that are going on there?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm thankful to be in a parish where we have emphasized the trades and industry-based credentialing for a long time. Whether you're talking about the auto shops at Glenmore and Tioga High School, whether you're talking about the welding shops at most of our other high schools that have those, whether you're talking about 4-H and agricultural programs, there's a lot of work being done in that space. But when we talk specifically about the advancements of artificial intelligence and its impact across the board. I mean, really all around the world, but I don't know that there's going to be a job not impacted by AI in some way, shape, or form. We actually had a meeting with a bunch of folks just a couple of days ago where we're scheduling our first AI symposium, AI and workforce symposium that'll be done a little bit later. This fall is going to be actually in conjunction with Applied Digital, the new AI data center going out there at Boise, but also with several other entities who are wanting to be a part of educating our community about AI in the workforce. As it pertains to what's exactly going on in our schools right now, there's a lot being developed. Thankfully, we have great partnerships with entities like CLTCC as well as LSUA and Northwestern LCU, who are helping bring some of that into our schools through the different programs that they have. In fact, I'll be engaging with Dr. Mark Johnson from LCU, Dr. Beard, Dr. Saltel, and other folks from CLTCC tomorrow night, I believe it is, on discussing this very topic, AI in education and AI in the workforce.
Cool. Yeah, and you say Dr. Satel. He fussed at me one time and said, "Call me Jimmy." It looked like he called himself retiring, but you see him in these little circles constantly. It's like, did you retire, man? Or what?
Yeah, Jimmy is one of my dearest friends in life. So we go to church together as well. So I'm enjoying that he and I are getting to stay connected on a lot of the things that we do.
All right, tell him I say hello.
I will.
Yeah. Jeff, one of the things that I hear parents talk about, and you end up at graduation and you hear the kids walking across the stage with their associate's degrees and different certifications and things of that nature. What can the district do better to help educate parents that these opportunities exist within the school system? Because one of the I'm just passing on what I kind of get as feedback to you. What can we do better to help make sure parents know about these programs?
Yeah, so I think that's great feedback. One of the constant struggles, I actually sent an email out this morning regarding some of the partnerships that we have. One of the biggest struggles is making sure that our parents are getting the information that we're providing for our students about those many opportunities. Whether it's through, like you said, the university pathway or the career pathway, there are a lot of things that we offer our students while in school before they graduate that they can take full advantage of, most of which is free or pretty close to being free for the students to take care of. And so one of the things we're working on, we have partnerships with COPE, Challenging Opportunities for Post-Secondary Education, which is part of the TRIO umbrella, some federal grant monies that help educate students and parents on those opportunities. We also have JAG specialists in every one of our schools or not every one of our schools, I should say that. I'm sorry. We have, I believe, 17 programs in our middle schools and our high schools. And we have some grad coaches and our counselors. So beyond just making sure that parents are reading the information that we send home with the students, one of the things that we're working to get more intentional about is, and I forgot to mention Career Compass, which is another entity through the Orchard Foundation that works in most of our middle and high schools, is creating opportunities for more parents to come take advantage of these informational sessions, whether it's through the meetings that we have at our high schools and our middle schools, through parent-teacher conferences, through graduation plan development. Every one of our students starting in the 8th grade develops a graduation plan where we elaborate on all the different possibilities you're going to have when you're in high school. Which one of these possibilities do you envision taking advantage of? And the parents are supposed to be an active part of that process. So, we're going to be looking for ways to really tap into making sure that our parents are fully aware of. I mean, we have more and more students performing at a higher level. Now we need those students to take advantage of all of the tremendous opportunities that are available, not only through the education system, but also through work-based learning and some of these things that are now expected during the high school years to actually go to work in a job where you can get a career and stay right here at home.
Right. Well, Jeff, and I'm pretty sure you've heard me say it all the time, one of the bright spots in our community is our educational system. The bad thing, in my opinion, and I know I'm going to say my opinion, is we export those products away to other communities. And we need to find a way to keep those products right here at home,
Yeah, and one of the best ways to do that is make sure that we have opportunities for them here at home. And I'm so thankful that we have so many of our big businesses and smaller businesses that are now engaging at a much higher level with trying to start building relationships with these young people when they're sophomores and juniors in high school, so that by the time they get to be a senior, they already know, hey, I've got a relationship with Roy Martin, Ringing Hospital, with Rapides Regional, with all these different entities, and now Applied Digital and whatever the case may be. Clico. Right. I shouldn't have started naming names, all of them.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Name names. If they're doing the work, they're doing the work. You know what I mean?
Right. History and hiring some of our students right out of high school. It's great.
Right. Which leads us right into the elephant in the room right now, Jeff. One of the biggest conversations going on here is in Rapides Parish is Applied Digital Forge One Data Center. Out in the Boyce area. A recent projection estimated that Rapides Parish school system could get about $2.6 million in the initial life of this thing. And I mean, that's if things stay the same. If it grows, it could be a whole lot more. And walk us through what those numbers mean to our parish and how they were developed and what do we have to do to plan to use those additional dollars, in a transparent way.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about it from a couple of different angles, because you and I were talking offline beforehand about Richland Parish, and boy, everybody watching that and getting excited. So let's put things in perspective first, okay? The Meta data center in Richland Parish is, as I understand it now, after the recent announcement where they're actually going to double the size, it's going to be one of the largest in the world. Okay, so it's huge. And before the announcement of the doubling the size of it, ours was only going to be a fraction of that size. Okay, so I'm saying all this, make sure everybody has things in perspective. So I know everybody saw those large numbers. I think if you were an employee in Richland Parish, you got somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000 as a stipend. So let's temper it just a little bit, and I'll tell you kind of how it all comes down. And Richland is a very it's a much smaller parish than Rapides. So they have a fraction of the number of employees. So they have a lot more money and a lot fewer employees. So that money goes a lot further. So okay, let's put it into perspective.
We're going to put it into perspective, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I will say this: the monies that they were distributing, as I understand it, and I may be wrong on this, but as I understand it, were related to their sales tax collections. Okay, so sales tax, y'all know, I mean, it's widely known here in Rapides Parish we have technically 3 sales taxes that lead to additional checks for our employees every year. In November of every year, you get the excess distribution of the 2016 sales tax. And that was the, I believe, half-cent sales tax that was passed to give all employees 8.5% pay raise back in 2016. And so what we do after paying the amount that's required for that 8.5% pay raise from back then, all the extra money on top of that's collected, that all gets distributed out on a dollar-to-dollar ratio. Every employee gets the same amount. All of that, those reports are presented monthly, our sales tax updates, all those things. So the Rapides Parish Public School System is as transparent a public entity as there is. So, anybody who's got any interest, come to our meetings. We have a finance meeting every month. So it's there. And then the other 2 checks are from 1967 or sales taxes are from 1967 and 1987. And that is the notorious 13th check that we give out every year in May, that this past year was over $9,000 for certificated employees and $4,500 for non-certificated employees. And I know there's always some conversation about why do some get this? Well, that's the way the tax was passed. That's not this local school board did this or did that. That's the way the tax was passed. This board just has to distribute it the way the taxes were passed. And so what we can anticipate is that the sales tax for the last, I said it at the board meeting the other night, in the last 8 years, those sales tax collections have doubled 2.5 times. So we're getting 2.5 times more in those sales taxes than we did just 8 years ago, and all that goes directly to employees. Okay, that money doesn't go anywhere else; it goes directly to the employees. And so, with the continued increase in economic development, a lot of the products and supplies that are being utilized for these projects are subject to sales tax. So you're going to continue to see an increase in that. Now, the bigger pot of money that you're referencing, or potentially bigger pot of money over the length of the time of the contract, is what's traditionally considered part of the property taxes. And so, if anybody that's involved in economic development know that over the last 8 to 10 years, going back to about half of the John Bell Edwards administration and through so far these couple years of Governor Landry's administration, there are a variety of ways that businesses can take advantage of tax incentives for them to come open their business in an area. Most of us are familiar with the tax exemptions, and that's gone through multiple renditions over the last few years. The most recent is the company who's wanting to add something or do something. They can come to the taxing entities, which is typically the police jury, the sheriff's office, and the school board. That's your 3 largest taxing entities in the parish. You also have some municipalities that are involved in some of that as well. But most of those tax exemptions under the most recent orders are like an 80-20. So they would have to pay like 20% of their taxes, but be exempt for 80% of them for a set period of time, say 10 years. And then, 10 years later, those exemptions roll off the books. One of the areas that's been a benefactor of one of those is Northwood High School out there around Boise as well. When CLECO made all the additions out there to the power plant, I guess it was 10 years ago. Theirs may have been a 20-year. Those exemptions came off the books just a couple years ago, and so now, Northwood High School gets a tremendous amount of tax revenue that can only be spent on the maintenance of Northwood. And being a Northwood graduate, when they didn't have any money, I'm as thankful as they are that now they get some of the resources that they never had before. So anyway. So in this case, and I apologize for going into detail, but like you said, being transparent on how all this stuff works. In this case, the Applied Digital worked. They did not come to the taxing entities. They went through what's called a payment in lieu of taxes, which means they're able to go through. It's called pilot is the short. So if you hear somebody talk about a pilot, that's a payment in lieu of taxes. And so they were able to go through our local economic development agency, which is Louisiana Central, facilitated conversations between them and the England Authority. And I know over the last probably year, everybody's done a lot more research on the England Authority and what all it is. particularly in this particular case. I mean, they had a hand in Boise Cascade, back when Boise came. But what came to light here is that England Authority has the ability to kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, annex different parts of the parish into their realm of responsibility. And when that happens, that gives them the authority to negotiate on behalf of the community. Now keep in mind that the members of the England Authority are representatives from most of the taxing entities. I will say this, not that it's a sore subject for me, but the Rapides Parish School Board does not have any representation on that board. So we're working on that. I'll just say that. But all those representatives, the people that you see on there, Chairman O'Day Laverne, Zeb Weinstead, Jamar Gale, all those, I probably should have sort of named names, but I think almost every one of them are appointed by some taxing entity, so that they are supposed to have the best interest of the community at hand. So anyway, that the England Authority is who kind of negotiated all the dealings with Applied Digital and those that are working with them. They're obviously attorneys involved in all of that stuff. Once it began to look like it was really going to happen, then they started bringing those of us that represented the taxing entities into the conversation. I know there's been a lot of talk out there about the non-disclosure agreements and all of that stuff. And I hope everybody understands that folks like me and my CFO, the sheriff and his folks, the police jury, the tax assessor, like we were not part of the negotiations per se, but they brought us in. We had to sign non-disclosure agreements as they were working on those details, and we couldn't talk about it because it wasn't a done deal. They're still trying to work those things out, and so it is really. Let me just say this. I know you're not asking this, but I just feel like I need to say it, Jack.
Say it.
It's really disheartening to hear some of the comments that are put out there about folks just because they heard that we had to sign an NDA. Like we didn't have any say so in that. Like if we wanted to be in that room to hear the conversation, that we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and then we couldn't talk about it when we come out of the room. It wasn't because Jeff Powell of the Rapides Parish School Board wasn't trying to hide anything. Sheriff Mark Wood or the sheriff's office or the police jury corrects me. Nobody. I mean, we had to sign the thing saying, "Hey, okay, we understand. We're not going to." And so, it is disheartening to hear some of the commentary that is said out there. And look, I mean, everybody can say whatever they want to say, but so what ultimately, I was able to look at the website this morning, kind of see what is forward-facing, public-facing. I mean, you see, in fact, that website has more information than I even knew, honestly, as I was kind of go through it. And so what you see out there, all that to get to your actual question, Jack, sorry, but I just wanted people to understand that's how the process worked. And so what they're projecting right now is over the life of this contract, you see it. You see, hundreds of millions of dollars for all the entities involved. For the first couple years, and this is the good thing about having a pilot instead of an exemption, is for the first couple of years, they're going to be paying. And I think the projected school board amount of that is somewhere around $5 million. And so that number is derived from the proportion of money that would be involved if it was a tax. And so, we have the Northwood school maintenance tax out there. You have the parish-wide maintenance tax, which pays a lot of your salaries and things for your parish-wide maintenance employees. And then you have the general fund tax. So the biggest piece of that is the general fund tax. Now, with a pilot, as we're understanding and we're trying to get clarity from the attorneys, it's not the exact same as having, receiving it as the tax dollar. So you get a little bit more flexibility with it. Having spoken with several board members through this, first of all, it needs to be clear. Nobody's spending any money through the school board until we get a check, and nobody's gotten a check yet. All right, so there's not been a check written to the Rapides Parish School, or let me say, whether it's been written, I don't know. I can tell you, there's not been a check received to the Rapides Parish School Board yet.
Yeah.
But once we get that money, as I understand it, this was just conveyed to me last week. I have not gotten it in writing yet, but the school board would then have to adopt a resolution of sorts that says, okay, this is how the monies from this particular pilot are going to be allocated. Obviously, you have Northwood out there, the school that's in the taxing district that'll be supporting a lot of the work that's going on out there. You and I have talked extensively through the years, Jack, about capital improvements, needed for our schools, and we need to be able to budget for things like that without necessarily always having to go out for new bonds when it comes to that. So you have the opportunity for that. And of course, what everybody is really intrigued by is how much can we allocate towards improving employee salaries. And so for the first couple years, it's about $5 million there that they're projecting. That third year is projected for a pretty big increase, because that'll be the first year that the actual facility is expected to be finished, to where it would have a lot of taxable items there. So it's supposed to be $13.5 to $14 million that year, and then over the life of the contract that they're coming to terms with, or the term sheet, it averages out a little over almost $8 million a year. So there'll be a tremendous opportunity here for our local school system, our sheriff's office, our police jury, to do some things that we've just quite frankly, never been able to do before.
Right. And so, Jeff, you when you're looking at that $7 million that's coming to the Rapides Parish school system, and the others, if you just had to make a wild guess on it, the dollars that you guys were getting for the Northwood school district tax, and any other taxes that would have been coming in to the school system, the property stuff that you would have over that year period, would it have been anywhere near that $7 million that you're talking about right now?
Are you saying if they did a tax exemption instead of a paid?
No, I guess I'm trying to figure out, what are we getting right now, collectively?
Oh, yeah.
And what are we going to be getting out to?
That's a great question. So right now, you got to understand all of that land that, which I don't know exactly. I think it's 600 acres or something like that. A lot of land out there. It was being taxed as farmland. So, I mean, the net impact on any of the taxing entities was negligible. I mean, it was not a lot of money coming in for taxes like that. So you went from a few $1,000s a year to now a few $1 million a year.
All right.
I've had that conversation. That there's different people talk, from different perspectives, whether it's political perspective, belief perspective, whatever the case may be. And that's one of the things I've said is, hey, like, we're getting nothing right now.
Right.
Millions of this. And I'm pro business. So I'm trying to figure out how we can help people understand, look, sometimes, I don't necessarily agree with all of how taxes work sometimes, but I also know that some is better than none, and we're in the some column right now.
All right. And so, just I know you haven't sat down, and your team hadn't sat down just yet and talked about how are we going to use this extra stream of revenue that's coming into the school system, be it salaries, be it support staff, be it facilities, instructional materials, and on and on and on. What do you envision the school system using its money, that parts of the money, for over the next 20 years?
I can see the proposal that would ultimately come before the board from administration. So that's all I can speak to, is what I would anticipate trying to bring to the board for consideration, is some kind of breakdown that would obviously still take care of Northwood, provide an opportunity for putting a savings account together for capital improvement projects for the parish, and allocating a certain amount for employee pay raises. I can tell you, and I have not worked the math on this the last time we did across the board pay raise about 3 or 4 years ago, I know we our board made some tough decisions when we closed some schools and did some things like that. But that led to a 4% pay raise across the board, as well as kind of correcting some salary schedules to take care of some of our lowest paid employees. So when we were doing that back then, it was a little over $1 million per percent. So if we were going to try to do a 3% pay raise, we knew we needed almost $3.5 million. We gave a 4% pay raise. We had about $5 million to do that. So again, that I have not broken. We're in budget and all this other season right now. So as soon as things kind of calm down with starting the school year, we'll start running the numbers on how many employees we have now and what that percentage cost would look like. But I would anticipate the board wanting to consider something like that, where there was some allocated for Northwood, some allocated for capital improvement projects around the district, and some allocated for school system employees' salaries.
Okay, all right. Well, it's going to be a challenging time. We got a lot to learn over this next school year. And I guess the biggest thing, one of the things that I hear, Jeff, is that I think, being more, like I say, I don't really have any problems with reaching out to the school system, but in this whole process of this data center thing, if there is some feedback that bubbles up to the top that we really need to be paying attention to, and that is that of being transparent. So the more we can be transparent, and the more, the more the public can help to buy into it. Because after when you look at the way what happened last week in DC, where the governor and the president was there, along with the superintendent and teachers from up in Richland Parish, the superintendent said, teachers can now put a roof on their house. They can do things that they never thought that they would be able to do because, the way the governor said it, I think Richland Parish is some of the poorest paid teachers in the state. And now they're at the top of that, at the top of that list. But it was bringing some real changes. It was bringing hope to a community that, everybody was passing them by. I-20 was just skipping right on by them up there. Now, you got to pay attention to what's actually going on. Just this weekend, just looking at some of the news reports, and the whole Northeast corridor, if you just go look at their economic dashboard, everything has got an uptick on it. The tax collection. So you're saying $8,000 now, and they haven't even gotten started with the building and the construction. We should see an uptick there. So even on the tax side of things, the existing tax side of things, sales tax and all that, teachers should begin to see a little jump there as well.
Yeah, the sales tax piece. In fact, it's funny. I try not to read everybody's comments on social media when I see them, for obvious reasons, I guess. But one of the things we try to do this for this salary schedule is that check is gotten so big, that 13th check, that we thought it would be a good idea to help employees out and put some of that money in the month to month. But what we got was a resounding response in that, nah, we're good with keeping one check at the end of the year. We had proposed to do an increase or adding $300 a month into monthly pay, pulling it from that 13th check, where you'd still, get, based on last year's numbers, still have gotten over a $5,000 check at the end of the year for a teacher, but you'd get $300 more a month in your monthly pay. But I think it was like 86% or 86.5% to 13.5% that they want. That everybody wants that money at the end. Don't do it month to month. So it was talk about being transparent. Like, it was an honest attempt to try to, look, I buy groceries too. Groceries are up. Gas is up. Everything's up. And I thought that was going to be something that people would want. But boy, I've been wrong before. But boy, I was really wrong on that.
And you left it alone, right, Jeff?
Hey, do what the people want. That's
yeah.
But again, and not that I want to harp on this, but the disheartening thing is, like, when you see people commenting like they were trying to take our money, they were trying, like, I sent the survey out, broke it down, everything, and it was, you're getting the same amount. You're getting whatever the taxes, you're going to get the same. It's by law. It's your money. But look, at the end of the day, all measuring points show that the data center is going to help our local economy, not the least of which is the impact it's going to have on our local school system. We're excited, honestly, beyond measure, because of like what you just said, it's hard to predict the sales tax impact. So that's going to be an increase.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the projected numbers on the pilot for the property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as soon as we get a check in hand, we can start talking.
You can start working.
Yeah. That's how we kind of anticipate it going.
Well, Jeff, before we get ready to get out of here, is there anything that I forgot to ask you? I tried to, I tried to catch up on all of that time in between, and you've been with me for 49 minutes right now. So maybe we need to bring you on every month so we can make it a little smaller. But we have an audience that stuck with us, man. So
well, that's great. I'm willing and able to do whatever you think that the community needs, because that's you talked about transparency a couple of times. And one of the things I try to remind people is, it's you should be able to say this about every public entity, but our school board, your local school board meets 2 times a month, the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday. We hash out a lot of this stuff. They're not televised, but they're live streamed. I mean, it's everything we do is in front of the public. And so if anybody has any questions, before you go to comment, shoot me an email. I mean, it's easy, jeff.powell@rpsb.us. And I think Jack can attest. He's asked me some hard stuff through the years, and I've never shied away from a hard question. Because I know the work that our people are doing, that this board does. You got a respectable board in the Rapides Parish Public School Board, and you got a great group of Rapides Parish School Board employees who bust their grits every single day to provide great opportunities for our students and for this community. And so that's I guess the one thing we didn't cover, but I would love for anybody to, if you ever have a question, and I'm not saying you like the answer or response, but I'll give you the honest response. I'll give you the policy response. I'll give you the legal response. At least give us a chance to accurately address things. And in the world of all the things we deal with, there's a lot of things that try to divide us, but I appreciate you, and you always give us an opportunity to set the things out there that should at least give people factual and accurate information. I mean, whatever opinion you have after you have all the facts and accuracy, that's everybody's entitled to that. But I hope that everybody at least tries to make sure that their opinions and comments are based on facts and accurate information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we're here to do, Jeff, and that is, to have that ability to sit down and have a conversation without you and I ready to go to war against each other, at the end of the day. So
I don't think you and I've ever gone to war with each other. I don't think, Jack.
And you said we didn't do some tough questions, but you see, sometimes folk think the tough questions are war. You know what I mean?
Hey, grown folks got to be able to have grown folk conversation time. That's just, and look, it doesn't have to be personal when we're talking about. I mean,
yes, sir.
People talk to me about education. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about all 3,000 plus of our employees and 20,000 plus students. It doesn't mean every decision I make is the same one you would make or somebody else would make, but it's and I think that's where you and I've always had that understanding. You just got to respect the work that everybody's doing, and
right.
So it's been good. So I appreciate the chance to come on.
Right. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your vision for the future of Rapides Parish School System. We appreciate everyone who's tuned in today. Asked those folk who sent those tough questions that I have passed on over there to Jeff. I definitely appreciate you guys and what have you. UrbanCast remain committed to bringing Central Louisiana meaningful conversations about the issues that matter to our community. We also want to thank our silver sponsor, Acadian Ambulance, for making today's community conversation possible. Special thank you to our community partners as well: Sadler's Towing, Long's Products, Nader International Market, Elegance Beauty Supply, Threadhead Embroidery, Uncle Willie's Barbecue, Legendary Kung Fu. I'm Jack. Thank you guys for joining us for another edition of UrbanCast Let's Talk. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you again. Jeff, if you could just hang on in there, I'll be back to you on the other side of these commercials, man. And thanks again.
I heard about the ENT class through some of my friends. Went to a ride along, took the class, and then I was kind of like, well, here I am.
getting to meet people that you've helped previously and seeing them on the street, or they've come by the station to say hello and thank you. It's just a rewarding experience. I would do it all over.
Searching for an unforgettable summer for your child? At Old Nell's Farm, campers spend days riding horses, learning horsemanship, caring for animals, making new friends, and enjoying real farm adventures. From beginners to horse lovers, our small camps offer a fun, safe, hands-on experience they'll talk about all year. Old Nell's Farm, DeVille, Louisiana. Call 318-794-9533 to register. Spots are limited.
Hi, this is Pastor Roger L. Green Sr., pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. We're welcoming you to our worship services on Sunday morning. Sunday school begin at 8 a.m. Worship services begin at 9 a.m. Come and grow with us, a place of faith, family, and fellowship. We would love to have you. Come see us Sunday morning. We'll see you there.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.